It feels so unreal that a little over a year ago, I was walking in darkness, and now the darkness is gone. Hi, my name is Charlene Brown, and I lived in the Portland City shelters for about a year. At the shelter, they gave me the first step of getting off the streets, getting a few meals a day. I had a roof over my head. I wasn't out in there in the rain and the storms and the snow, so it was one step closer to being where I'm at today.
Our country is in a humanitarian crisis around housing, and that's resulting in people who are on the edge falling into homelessness. The federal government has reduced their investments in housing, behavioral health, mental health supports. Cities and counties across the country are left to address these issues at a very local level.
Portland is adaptive. So when it comes to a crisis like this, it is so exciting to see that the adaptability includes developing programming and styles of sheltering that recognize all different types of needs.
The City of Portland operates 3 different shelter models. The first is a temporary alternative outdoor shelter, which includes tiny home pods. The second is a congregate shelter where there's a shared sleeping space. The third is an RV safe park where people are able to bring their lived-in RV or trailer.
Going from living in a house, working full-time, to having my health drop, I bought the RV as a short-term goal and ended up living on the side of the street, trying to find a place where I could get the resources I needed.
When folks come into the program, they come with all sorts of different stories and journeys. And often they've been living in a certain way that has cost them the vision that they might be able to live in a different way. So the work then becomes setting goals, identifying barriers, and then moving past those barriers to one day see permanent housing happen.
To get somebody housed, 9 times out of 10, you got to start from scratch. ID, birth certificate, social security card. Then we can start looking at resume building, job search. Folks come in with so many different needs.
We want everyone to be in permanent housing, and we want them to be able to maintain that housing. So through our programming, we can do a lot of skill building while folks are in shelter so that by the time they get into housing, they're able to keep it.
We work really hard to try to develop positive habits, everything that would be helpful for them to become more self-sufficient.
When I was at the shelter, the services that I took advantage of would be addiction treatment, women's services, food, being able to get my ID and my social security card. I was connected with the different medical and mental health services.
All of our shelter models offer basic amenities: hygiene, laundry, access to hot meals, access to case management support. In addition, those shelters provide medical, behavioral health, and other types of services that support individuals to meet their objectives and move on their pathways towards housing.
If every day is about meeting your needs for that day, you're not going to be thinking about the big picture. And what our shelters are able to provide is a space where our participants can start thinking about those big goals and dreams because they have a place to rest.
In the first 2 years of our program, 446 people left our shelters to go on to permanent housing. More than half of them had been experiencing chronic homelessness.
Everybody has their own story, their own trauma. Some people come into the village and they get housed in 15 days. Then you got others that it takes a little bit longer for whatever reason, because not everybody's situation is the same. So it's just about being patient and working with, and not giving up. Patience and consistency.
Now I live in an apartment. They're paying for my rent, put furniture in my home. I was like, wow.
I'm grateful that I have my own space. I got in my apartment and I started my job all in the same month. It's everything I never thought I would have again. I believe that if I wouldn't have been in a shelter, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
We currently have over 80 partners that provide supports to our shelters that ranges from anything from direct medical care to substance use partners to veterinary services.
It's a very exciting thing to get to the end of the line and all the paperwork's in, keys are ready, somebody's transitioning into an apartment.
We know that for every individual to move into housing, they've overcome significant barriers, and that's what we're here for.
It was good. You know, I finally felt safer.
If you got to know any of these folks, you would realize just how hardworking they actually are. And that's actually the strength that gets them to permanent housing. We don't do that for them. They go after the life that they want, and it's their work, and they accomplish it.
What I've learned is that I can actually do anything, that I'm strong, that I'm a survivor, that I'm brave, and I'm worthy.